I will entertain a motion for the approval of applicants to be interviewed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we accept candidates A, B, C, D, and E as applicants to be interviewed for the position of district superintendent.
Is there a second?
Second.
At this time, I would like to make an amendment that we add candidate F for applicant to be interviewed for the position of superintendent.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Hearing none, we'll move to the question originally proposed as far as A, B, C, D, and E. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes.
I heard a motion to invite candidate A, B, C, D, and E to interview with this board. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For the record, then, candidate A, Dr. Jim Bogner, B-O-G-N-E-R. Candidate B, Charles Imes, I-M-E-E-S. Candidate C, Dr. Michael Robert. Candidate D, Dr. Jeff Sprout. And candidate E, Mark Eastless. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Let the record please show that.
Okay, at this time, we'll go on to D.02, approval of interview questions. I'll turn it over to the ASBA.
Thank you. Mr. President, members of the governing board. I thought that the presentation earlier was absolutely excellent. I think this board and this community did a wonderful job in determining what their thoughts are regarding what this next superintendent should look like. The community and the panel, excellent. The data collection, I've never seen that many in a search, communications from the community back to the board. That is absolutely excellent. It's commendable that your community played such a fine, strong role in this effort. I expect that they'll continue to, because you have a community meeting scheduled in the future, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But from what I heard today, I gleaned certain things. And what I would suggest to you is that I kind of go through that litany very quickly of what I gleaned. Once I do, I'll have a suggestion for you. Here's what I heard, and I'm going to just paraphrase for the moment. I heard that you want this superintendent, the community wants this superintendent to understand what that role means in this community, and that it is specific to this community. What is the role of the superintendent in this community? I heard teacher retention as an issue. I heard several things that relate to that. I heard about teacher development. I heard about staff development in whole. We talked about teacher retention, but I also heard that all staff need to have greater training opportunities, which quite honestly will hold support staff in place also. I heard diversity. I heard that this district has diversity and that the superintendent needs to understand it and work within that component of diversity. I heard as part of that all stakeholders need to be part of the conversation. I heard from the parents quite directly that parents need to have a strong role. In this state, 3 years ago, the legislators passed a parents' rights bill. I heard that loud and clear from what I listened to earlier. I heard that the person needs to be familiar with the population, needs to be someone who understands the population in your district. I heard about teacher effectiveness in the classroom. That goes along with the development and growth of teachers in the classroom. I heard about all stakeholders more than once. I heard about environment and climate, building a positive work environment, building a climate where students flourish. I heard about student growth. I heard about offering all students. I heard about offering all students no matter what the diversity may be. There was a couple of very specifics pointed out. I also heard about strong leadership, and I heard about community. I heard about partnerships. I heard about working within the community to create partnerships. That gives a frame of reference. That draws a parameter for us. What my suggestion is, if those things, if you believe I captured what was said today, then my suggestion would be that you ask ASBA to create questions that flow from those things that were said, because they're directly related to what input you got from the community. They're also in alignment with what you advertised for. So there's good alignment between what you had talked about with ASB a few meetings ago and what was said here. If you would like, I can certainly do that, and at ASBA we would look at these things, we would create a list for you, we would come back with those questions ready for the interview, and they would all focus on those points that I just brought out. Mr. President.
Yes, the only thing I did not hear with your environment was that, which I heard also here, both, I mean, from the survey and from the panel, was discipline and safety to go along with that environment.
Explain, please.
They made reference to discipline at the school, or the type of behaviors at the school, and the safe environment. So if we could just, I think what you do is just add on to that question. I don't think that's a new question. It's just a matter of reference to the same.
Any other considerations?
Sounds fine. So I will entertain a motion that we allow the ASBA to go ahead and formulate some questions for the interview.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
When would we receive those questions to approve them?
Probably within early next week. You would have them, if not later this week. You would have those possibly later this week. We could forward them to your current district administration, who would then forward them to you so you could look at them, become familiar with them prior to the interviews. What I would suggest occurs, and because you're looking at them as individuals, you cannot have that conversation with each other. What I suggest occurs is we add an agenda item on to the meeting prior to the interviews, where you review them totally as a group, and if there's a need to add, subtract, or modify anything, we do it at that time as a group, and then you approve them at that time before the interviews.
So that would be May 7th? Is that everything? Okay.
We agree? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. Approval of interview schedule. I think we'll entertain a motion that once ASBA comes up with that schedule, fitting to the schedule that we will approve for May 7th, and we have the times there.
Just for the record, I think that's an excellent suggestion. You have 5 candidates. You have a community meeting. I will need to call those candidates. Obviously, they all have to accept the invitation to interview. Part of the schedule would be based on that and the questions we come up with. So we'll forward that to you as soon as we have it developed.
So at this time, I'll entertain that motion to pass it to ASBA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Approval of community forum. Go ahead.
The community forum, as scheduled, is on the same day as the interviews. We can work the community forum a variety of different ways, and I want to make it clear that when we use the term community, we're talking about community, we're talking about the parents, we're talking about the grandparents, we're talking about people who don't have students in your community, we're talking about staff, all staff. We use the community forum and throw the net very wide. Anybody in the community, anybody in the school has the right and opportunity and should be there. We'd like to see a large crowd if we can. My suggestion is this, and I've seen this work well, that each candidate has an opportunity to introduce themselves, give a little background, and then something that's worked well for us in the past is, as community members come in, they can fill out question cards. Those question cards then would come to me. I would present those to each of the candidates. They'd all have a chance to respond. Generally, we get a lot more cards than and questions than we have time for. Because somewhere around an hour, hour and 15 minutes is about sufficient. And we might modify that a little bit if we get with 5. One thing I've modified it to in the past is the first 2 candidates answer the first question, second 2 candidates answer the second question, and we kind of rotate around that way so everybody gets a chance in front of the podium answering questions. That's something I would talk to them about at that evening, or on that evening. Then, from there, that gives everybody a chance to hear, see, and learn about it. But as important, after that, there needs to be time just to have the candidates there and have people come up and talk to them individually. Come up and say, hi, I really liked what you said. Tell me more about what you think about this idea you have for curriculum and instruction. Tell me more about what you're thinking about in outreach opportunities for the community. I think that's important. So I think the structure of it would be about 2 hours max. The first hour, hour and 15 minutes, introductions and responding to questions formally. And the last 45 minutes to an hour, an informal opportunity for community members, staff, everyone to meet and say hi, shake hands, and talk to those folks that come and interview with you. That would be my suggestion. We can modify that any way you'd like, Mr. President.
I think I need a motion and a second before discussion, so is there a motion? Second? Oh, second. Okay, discussion? Anyone have any changes to that, modifications?
I think it sounds fine.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The one thing I would like to point out is that the agenda item indicates community forum at 5:30 p.m. I suggest that that's not necessarily the time because we need to schedule and we need to look at the whole schedule. So I'd suggest that may be a target, but not absolute at this point.
I will make a motion that the board approve the community candidate forum for May 11th at a time to be determined based on the scheduling of interviews.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ayes carried.
Thank you very much.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.